and lightsabers. So good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Sick of This Show. It is Notes of the Week with Nick Paro and Walter Rhein. Walter Rhein is, can you introduce yourself again for anyone who might not know you?
Oh
Um,
yeah,
because I
I
always
write.
forget to have you reintroduce yourself.
Oh yeah, at this point I'm on all the time. But yeah, I do. I'd rather be writing, and I'm married to. I'm a girl dad. That's what I am. I decided that's the best thing to say. That's what I am. I'm a girl dad, husband to an immigrant wife, and I'm sick of this shit, as you said. So today I'm a little under the weather, but we'll push through and have a good talk.
Good. Well, if you need to drop at any point because you're not feeling good,
No, I'm
you're
okay.
always welcome to. You know
I
with
took a
me
lot of
that health comes
Tylenol.
first.
I took a lot of Tylenol. That shit really works, that Tylenol. So go take Tylenol, people, if you have problems. The thing
Yeah,
that does cause brain worms, though, I've never tried it, but I've heard Viagra causes brain worms. Tylenol, on the other hand, is safe. So,
I've also heard eating a shitload of mercury and poisoning yourself can give you brainworms too. And
yeah,
when you have brainworms, you should not run a government organization. Like that seems counterintuitive.
yeah, that
So
seems logical, but I ain't
especially
no
if your
American.
brainworm birthed out Stephen Miller. There's sort of like aliens coming out of his fucking ears, Stephen Miller just worming his way out and just
Oh.
eating through RFK's brain, getting all the bad ideas.
We were saying Miller just occasionally licks his own eye, because he didn't get the full manual. He's like, he doesn't get the full manual about how to be human. And then he's like, circuit court. He talks like this. He talks like the aliens in District 9, circuit. He starts doing all these clicks and things. He
I
starts to
could
glitch.
I could imagine him just like doing like this like a little worm and then just oh, I'm gonna eat the brain, and then pops it out, and then he
It's like
starts
me.
growing. It's like the end of Spaceballs when when they're at the cafe in space and they meet the aliens crew, and he just comes out and just bursts out with a top hat on, singing "Hello, my baby, hello, my honey, hello, my ragtime gal." And
Yeah,
doing that sort of thing, like, except not in the fun way. He's like, hello,
yeah.
my Nazis. I love my Nazis. Let's just fucking
Stop.
kill them all.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, man.
yeah, Stephen Miller. I've been writing about him a lot. He's on the mind. I did a show on him yesterday, but I wrote about him and I made the connection this morning because Chris Golds, before we get into notes of the week, thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate that.
Here's
Um,
Stephen Miller's actual height. That's the other thing. This is his actual height. That's how big
and
he is.
he's tiny.
Ah,
He's
I'm gonna
like,
take over the
I
world.
got the tiniest tanks and the tiniest people who ride my tanks. They're so squeaky and so tiny. Um, and when JD was doing the little 2-inch thing on
Oh yeah,
screen
yeah. Oh
with Johnson just salivating next to him, like
yeah,
that
I
was
saw that.
JD
Yeah.
talking about his size and Johnson going, that's more than I've ever had. And no, I don't
Oh
care about their sexualities. Just for
yeah,
anybody out there who might
yeah,
be questioning if we're being rude, no, I don't care. Like
yeah.
you do
It's the
you, boo.
self-loathing. The sexuality is
But
fine. It's
hurting
the
the rest of
self-loathing we
us,
don't like.
yeah, the
Yeah,
hurting the rest of us in the community part is like you guys can suck it. Like if
yeah.
AOC is tall, I think AOC is taller than Stephen Miller. I think
Oh
she
yeah.
almost towers over him, and she's like barely 5 foot. Um, Actually, no, I don't know how tall AOC is. I'm just
She's a
saying,
giant. Yeah, she can take over a
compared to
room.
Stephen Miller, she's a giant.
Yeah.
Like anyone compared to Stephen Miller is a giant. But I made the connection this morning on a note that I put out. That's not my note of the day or note of the week, but it was that Stephen Miller reminds me more because Chris Goldsmith is talking about, oh, we need to make jokes about Stephen Miller at the No
Yeah.
Kings rally because he's the plenary power asshat and
Quit.
thinks he can do things, but he's more like Gollum, like
Yeah.
Gollum, my precious, and like that's all he wants is his precious like hatred. But then I was like, then this morning I was like, you know what? It's not even that he's Gollum. He's more Grima Wormtongue, and he
Yeah.
just sits behind the king, whispering evil seduction and rotting the dude's brain from within. He's like a brainworm. And then his propaganda just spews out and rots everybody around him. So Miller Wormtongue or Grima Miller, or sorry, Stephen Wormtongue or Grima Miller, maybe some good signs for your protests. Um, AOC might not tower over Stephen Miller height wise if he's taller than 5 feet or five
Yeah.
four that AOC is, but she towers over him intellectually and
Oh,
mentally. And I just really wish she would take one of those stilettos and just kick him right between the legs with him. Um,
yeah.
because I want to see if he actually has anything down there for him to kick. Like,
Yeah. But humanity and compassion, when humanity and compassion walks into a room and they take charge, yeah, those little, just these little creepy empty suit awful people, these bullies, these just garbage human beings that nobody
yeah,
loves, that are just, they're just so full of self-loathing that they got to destroy the whole world, which is everybody in this administration right now. And it's just, yeah, we get a compassionate person, a shining light enters the room. It just washes all that darkness away. And the sooner America understands that and we start talking about that, embracing it. I've been on my last couple talks, I keep encouraging because women don't need my permission, but it's like, just cut these pieces of shit down because they have the power to just cut these guys down. These
yeah.
guys, who sit there and attack women for their appearance, and it's like, these are just these scumballs who have credible accusations of sexual impropriety. Take them down, speaking I'm talking about, but you know, put them back in their place. Because it's like women do have the power to do it, and most of the time they're too polite and compassionate and kind. It's like, but now's the time. We need that feral,
I
protect your
think
children type attitude.
Yeah, I think we got a lot too stuck in the mindset of we go high when they go low when the Obamas talked about it, and I don't blame them because
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good. That's how
At that
democracy
time,
should work. Like that's how
yep. Well, at that
democracy
time,
should
that was
work.
the right advice, but
Yeah,
it's changed.
but whereas now, like we need bully the bully through bullying their ideas and their
Yeah.
personalities, but not their personhoods. That's where AOC, Jasmine Crockett, um, oh, I forget her name. She's I think out of Connecticut, Stansbury.
Oh, I
I
can.
believe her last name is. Um, um, she's fiery on the um house floor. And I love it because they come out and they say things and they mean it and they don't hold back because they know that people around them, they know that some of the men around
Yeah.
them have their back. And I think that's more what it's about right now is like Melanie, thank you. Melanie Stanford. Um, and like they know that's I think what I'm trying to do in a lot of ways too is like it's not time for white men to be in charge
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
anything. But it is time for us to do the real protector and defender thing, which is get out of the fucking way when somebody can do it better so that we can do the things that we're good at and empower other people. And that's just what I want to do. I want to empower other people. It's not me giving permission, like you said. It's not you giving permission to those women who are doing the thing already. It's you telling them, hey, I got your back. I'm
Yeah.
standing right here, right next to you, and you are not alone. And I think that's what people have been asking for in general, is
Yeah.
we just stand with them side by side and take an equal share of the responsibility to
Yep.
progress forward.
I just say women are less susceptible to corruption than men. It's just a fact. They are not as likely to be corrupted. And I take this on myself. It's like I look at people like AOC who probably has sat in her office and had people come in every single day with suitcases full of money, and she's managed to say no, 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 and still have debt, even to this day. And it's just like, I don't trust myself to do that. To have people come and just offer me the world again and again and again. I do trust my wife to turn that as away. I trust my children to turn that away, and just looking and understanding my own weaknesses. It's like, I'd like to sit here and say that I would remain uncorrupted. I don't think I would. And I do trust women to remain uncorrupted more than men.
Yeah. And I also trust women to make decisions for themselves. Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I often get reminded, not meanly, but often get reminded because it ends up being true, is that my wife is more often right than I am. Like, I may have a lot of good ideas, but every good man, every good husband, every good partner knows that their ideas aren't solely theirs all the time. I am influenced by my wife's ideas, by her thoughts, her freedom, and she helps show me what it means to be an independent woman because I want her
Yeah.
to be. And it's not me holding her back. My job as her husband and her spouse and her best friend and her partner in all of this is to be her partner, is to be her
Yes.
friend, is to be there to build her up and tell her when she's doing things wrong in a constructive way because I want her to do the same for me. And I've found most often her ideas tend to be better. And I
You know,
always get back to her ideas, but it's very circular for me. Like I have to work it all out. And she's like, why don't you just listen to me the first time? I'm like, I am, but I have to think about all the
yeah.
other options that fit in with your idea to see where it might work better for my brain.
Yeah. Well, what you're saying is so great because it's all about, I believe marriage is all about accountability for men. And it's sort of like, you know, and I've just watched this video the other day where they're sitting there saying, they're everybody, the right wing always blames feminism and all this nonsense, and they always want submission. And it's just like none of that actually helps because the people that really need to be held accountable are men. It was what I was saying before. And I
Hmm.
guess maybe there's some evolutionary process for us to be, but you see like dudes, they're stacking ladders on top of other ladders. And your wife's
Oh
like,
my
"I'm
God.
trying to change this light bulb up here, honey." They're like, "Get the fuck down!" It's like,
Yeah.
like the stuff we do. It's just I've had a couple of times. I told you I bit my lip and I had like this blister in my lip, and so I was like just getting a razor blade to cut open this blister, and I actually paused. And I'm like, "What would my wife do here? She wouldn't do this." And it's just sort of like she's like, she would use a topical cream, or maybe she'd talk to a doctor. And
Yeah.
it's just sort of like, and exactly as you're saying, though, because, men have to confront the world. We have our personal identities, and we're treated kind of harshly in a lot of ways. And you develop all these bad habits. And your wife can just come along and just carefully tell you, it's like, honey, you don't have to do this. You don't have to torment yourself. And it's like, you don't have to go drinking out with the boys and then you're miserable and hungover when you try to go to work the next day. It's like your life will be
Hmm.
better if you give some of these things up that you've been conditioned to do. And you know what? They're right. They're right. If you understand, your family is here and they're the ones who actually care about you and that everybody
Yep.
else is exploiting you, then once you embrace that, life becomes a lot better. The
Yeah.
ladies tell us how to live.
Yeah, and they give us like why I'm working so hard to try and build online community the way that we are is because I see women do it. Women have there are a lot of really incredible female led and female geared or geared towards those who identify as female or who were born naturally female, like who transition female or not, but geared towards women. The way they approach like community spaces and conversation groups and
Yeah,
is so much more meaningful and like engaging and thoughtful than how a
yeah,
lot of men do it because it's not always about just there's a lot less of the beating each other down on personhood.
yeah,
They like women are better about talking in general, from my experience, are better at talking constructively about their emotions and about how something that just was said or done impacts them. Whereas men just go, meh, I'm angry or, and I'm sad. And that's it. We've got like three
yeah,
emotions. It's happy, sad, mad. And that's
yeah.
about it. Or like
And
add
the
rage in
observation.
there.
Well, the observation is so critical too because they've created these systems where the foolish like bully character male just gets up and bloviates, but the women aren't doing anything. It's not like they're doing nothing when that happens. They observe, and my wife is this. My wife sometimes she enters these spaces where she recognizes she's not welcome to speak, and it's sort of like, and she'll just watch, and she'll come away with that, from the not from what the guy said, but the behaviors and the responses, and then she'll know. Oh, she'll gather enough information from that moment to then consolidate an effective resistance. And it's not the way I react because I tend to like go right at things. But this kind of like observing, looking for the weaknesses, understanding what's really at work, and once you adopt that too as an activist, you become a lot more effective. I know I've done it. And a lot of this just comes from that. These reaching out, making connections like we're doing online
Yeah,
here. Um, and just the preparation too. Like men tend to just like jump in. Oh, I'll just fix it as I go. Doop, doop, doop. But it's
yeah,
like when the women are doing something, it's like it's all organized. I mean, this is like, you know, it's up to me to get snacks for the soccer game, and I'll have like like a
yeah.
couple boxes of something I bought. The other moms show up with like coolers filled with fruit, and I'm like, oh, I suck at this,
Yeah,
And they're it's like, well,
I'm
no, learn to
always
get
like,
better at
"Oh,
it.
no, not enough. I didn't do enough. I didn't bring enough. I didn't pack enough. I didn't make it homemade in a way." And it's not because they're shaming us. They're not doing it like they're not looking at us and going, "Look at those stupid men. They don't know what to do." At least most of the time. And I'm generalizing, and I wanna make sure in the chat we're generalizing on women. We're not saying all women are amazing because not all are. It's just like not all men are shitbags because not all are.
Yeah.
But a
We're
majority,
celebrating the good ones.
we're
We're
celebrating the
celebrating the
good
good ones.
ones.
That's what
Yeah,
we're
I
doing.
don't care about the shitbags. I'm celebrating the good
Yeah.
ones. Like I'm celebrating my wife. I'm celebrating Walter's wife. I'm celebrating my mom, my friends in the chat who are women who come onto my shows and who have their own shows and speak their minds so openly and so passionately. Like I always tell people, especially like nowadays when it's like, or when I was going through hiring, and it's probably why I didn't get hired because it was during the anti-DEI thing. And my response to every, like, when they asked, like, who did you learn the most from at work? And I always gave the example of one of the women I worked with because they were always the ones who always taught me the most. They were always the ones who were willing to teach. They were the ones who were willing to engage. And yes, there were some who wouldn't, um, but on the whole, on the average, there were a lot who did, and I learned the most from them. And I learned the most from diversity, from people who don't look like me, who don't sound quite like me, who don't have all the same views as I do. Like, but then again, I served in the Army, the most diverse force in the US. Like, the most diverse agency in the United States is the US Army, and I served
Mm.
in that. And I learned how to work with people who I may or may not agree with on any issues. Yet I worked with them and it was awesome. And they learned how to work with me. That is the true nobility of the military is they teach you how to not be racist, bigoted pieces of shit, homophobic pieces of shit. Like they teach you not to do that because you have to implicitly trust the people around you. And you can't do that if you think that they hate you. And so you have to put it all aside. Um,
I
and take
I wanted
some
to
of the
add too.
emotion out. But that's a very female-led idea of like, and that's where it all started in the diversity of it was women forced their way into combat roles of some sort, specifically medic roles during the Revolutionary War. Um, Women drove diversity in the military from the beginning. So did Black people who were enslaved. So did Hispanics who, or Mexicans at the time, and natives who came and fought with the rebel, with the our rebel alliance, our American founding fathers. Like we use diversity every single time we fight and every single time we protect ourselves. And that's where you learn the most is with people who aren't always like you.
Yes. And I was going to mention just the weakness of that authoritarian mindset where the person in charge can never be wrong. That gets people killed. You get killed. We need these mechanisms where we just point out the contradictions. And I've said before, my children are so brilliant, but a big part of it is because they're smart enough now where they observe in me when I do something contradictory. And we're all like bound by this. And I talk about this in my anti-racism talks with Will Fullwood. where we're indoctrinated. There's layers upon layers upon layers of things where we believe that just don't make any sense. And it's all been normalized because the pendulum is way far to the right. We're sitting
Yeah.
here at the end of like 200 years of white supremacy leadership. So our minds are all messed up. And
Yeah.
it's the young people that come along and they're just like, well, that's a contradiction. And so if I was in this, like, I'm the authoritative patriarch and nobody ever questions the things that I say, I just cut all the doors on being able to see my contradictions, having the brilliant people around me say, hey, that doesn't, what you said doesn't make any sense. And I'm a curious person anyway. So
Hmm.
when they say that, rather than respond with rage, which is like the male response or the white supremacy response, you pause and you say, thank you for enlightening me to this idea I didn't even know was screwed up in my own thoughts. And it goes both ways. I mean,
Yeah.
if men can abandon this authoritarian mindset and adopt that cooperative mindset, which is, I guess we could just call that what women generally tend to embody in the modern times. But there's no
Yeah.
reason for that to be a male female thing. We
No, and
can
it shouldn't
cooperate.
be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a bunch of men on a football team are cooperating together, right? That's cooperation. And so
Yeah.
you bring that into your household with your kids and your wife, and everybody is allowed to like your assets bloom, all the things that you do well, you take advantage of that rather than suppress it. I mean, the amount of effort it takes to maintain this patriarchal authoritarian society is just an absurd waste of resources. We should be elevating all the brilliant people in our society. I mean, why is this so hard to convey this idea to people? Somebody really wrote a long comment there. I'll have
Yeah,
to take a
I'm
look at that.
reading through it. Thank you, Nikki, for the long comment. Um, I'm just trying to read through. I appreciate the feedback.
Yes.
And so like, and I want to make sure too is like one of the things that you specifically said about your talks you do just now is how you actively confront it. Like it's an active event. Like you have to actively be anti-racist or anti-white supremacy or anti-bigoted or anti all of these things because if you're not, it's just a vacuum um, in the world, and it's just
Yeah.
like poof, we're going to leave space for hatred if we don't actively push back against the hatred and say what we're for. Um, and I mean, we talk a lot, at least you and I talk a lot about like how we frame the arguments and how people
Yeah.
talk. And like it's always for us, anyways, at least I find these conversations really refreshing because we get to talk in our perspective and we don't have to bend to like fake MAGA
Yeah.
vacuums or fake
Yeah.
MAGA ideals and fake right wing ideals that aren't truth. Like none of it is good what they want or do. Like their ideas are just inherently bad. Um, and so we don't frame our arguments a lot in what they say. So I wanted to shift a little, if we could, into our actual notes
Oh,
for this week and how yours might end up tying into some of this and how mine will tie into some of this too. So do you want to go first today or do you
yeah.
want me to go
I'll go.
first?
I'll go first. I got it right up here.
Sounds great.
So yeah, like a lot of what we have to do is break down the normalized beliefs that hurt us, and just figure out different ways to do it because there's all these different things we believe. And I always tell this to people who are activists. It's like you got to expect pushback because people through all these different mechanisms have been trained to believe things that just aren't true. And then
Yeah.
when you question things and you see that like these authoritarians and everybody in the media right now when they come out and you kind of challenge them on something, they just give you like they just dismiss that you even have the right to challenge them. And that's a real
Yeah.
problem. So here's the note I wrote, though. And I wrote, when you're president, you can say things like, the market is going to crash tomorrow. Then the market crashes because everybody gets scared and pulls out their money. So an unscrupulous president could short all his shares and make a fortune every couple of days. It doesn't take a genius to become rich. It's just a complete lack of ethics. And this gets into that idea that we need a government that works for us. I mean, it's like for some reason, everybody in the United States is like, well, that's just socialism. It's like, so you're going to elect some fucking bully, asshole sex offender who's going to just take all your tax dollars for himself? He's just going to like take all the money of our government and gives it to himself? And that's
Yeah.
because you're
That's
afraid of socialism and a government that works for you. It's like, what the hell's wrong with people? So that's my note for today.
Yeah, do you mind dropping the link for it in the chat so that we
Oh
we
yeah,
have it?
let me
Because
grab it again.
I'll put it in the show notes too, so everyone can go like and share and restack it. So that's one of the reasons I like doing it is we get to
There
get
we
these
go.
notes out. And so like yeah. I read that note and my first thought was, wow, this is so on the nose for what they do. Like they just they steal our money. They've literally
Yes.
stolen all of our wealth and our like um just futures, our inheritance. We have no inheritances left in that way. Like they've been stealing from Social Security
Yeah.
forever, and we've just never called it stealing our inheritance or
Yeah.
market manipulation when we see these big crashes. I'm glad you called it that because that's what it is it's market manipulation.
Yeah.
It's
That's
theft,
our
it's highway
retirement,
robbery.
people involved in who have invested in 401, and even like investing in your 401k to a large extent is just funneling money to rich people because you
Hmm.
give a penny of all of your paychecks to these massive corporations, and these CEO know everything in advance, so they're just, oh, we just sold everything, ha ha ha. It's like, we knew when it was going to crash before you did, so all you guys spend your whole life. They've been
Hmm.
afraid of an uprising. That's the only thing kind of keeping them straight. It's like the idea that when the stock market collapses and everybody who is invested in the stock market gets angry because they're like, there goes my life's work, everything you told me to
Hmm.
do. But the government tells us all these things. We're pushed in these. Even the money we spend, they control if it has value. It's got shit value right now because inflation's gone so high because these assholes in charge of the government are morons who've just allowed, and they're hiding the data because the government's shut down. But you're like, the whole net, all your labors of your whole life to this point have just been stolen by the Republican Party. We never talk about that. Everybody should be a lot more angry than they are, actually.
Yeah, I think it's okay to let our outrage show. Like people need to stop being like gently talking about that's what I don't like about the Democrats, to be honest, is they gently talk about the fact that our social services, our healthcare, our rights, our fundamental beliefs are all being torn away. They're just like, let me write this strongly worded letter or politely stand at this
Whew.
podium and not say
Yeah,
anything. And bringing it back to people, folks like AOC and Jasmine Crockett, is they don't do that shit. They go out and speak their minds. They're being held back in a lot of ways. Like
yeah,
they aren't being allowed to say the real stuff that needs to be said so other Americans would actually get it. Like if
yeah,
we just stopped holding women back from these powerful women back and powerful voices back from what they're good at doing, we'd be in a much better spot. Like
yeah.
way, way, way better. If we let Gavin Newsom's press secretary, um,
Zapata.
yeah,
Camille Zapata. Yeah.
Camille Zapata have the run of what she needs to for the DNC
Oh,
messaging
yeah.
machine with support from smart insiders from previous administrations or people who understand messaging and who have contacts who can actually get real information out in a democratic from the Democratic platform, like Camille Zapata would fucking change the world.
Yeah.
Single-handedly, she could change the world because she's already started doing it.
Yeah.
But like, and I get why he wouldn't give her up, especially if he's going to run for president. Like she would win him the
Yeah.
presidency in half
Well,
of.
he doesn't own her. He doesn't own
He
her.
doesn't
And
own
another
her.
thing, and another thing I want to say is, if we would just hold men to the same standard that these
Hmm.
asshole authoritarians hold women, if we would just throw it back in their face when they say it, because they're allowed they're allowed to get behind their microphones, and just oh, women should be in the house and all this is just bullshit. And it's like, and then they talk about accountability for women. It's like, what about you, you fucking asshole? It's
Yeah.
like, what about this pedophile island that everybody supports? How about accountability for those fucking assholes? They brutally rape little kids. These men do. How about accountability for that? And you're bitching about women who all they want is a better life for their kids. It's like, how hard is it to just throw it back at these people? I mean, the arguments write themselves. All you have to do, and really, it's just flip a switch in your brain. Just give
Yeah.
yourself permission to say these things because we know it. I know
Yeah.
everybody's mad. We've been mad our whole lives because it's been unfair our whole lives. When I was 5 years old, I knew it was unfair. And then they're like, you'll understand when you're older. You'll understand when just wait your turn, wait your turn. No, it's never coming. It has to be now. It has to be now or it'll never happen.
Yeah, it has to, like, stop
I'm angry.
stop holding back your anger and frustration and focus your rage, men, into positive things because you know it is not okay. Like, you know it's wrong. Like, Walter's rage is real rage. Like, I'm not being raging right now, but you've all seen me get up and into it. Like, this this is not this is not a time for holding back the real thing that you know is going on. Like, pedophiles are running our government. People protecting pedophiles are running our government. They're actively running a criminal conspiracy theory or criminal conspiracy to suppress evidence, to change facts and narratives around pedophilia, human sex trafficking of minors, raping children, and a money laundering scheme that has gone back since the KGB to USSR, to the Soviet Union when they fell and they needed a way to make America fall too. There's a reason all of this is happening and converging. It's a plan. Russia planned 45, 50 fucking years in advance, unlike us who can't plan more than 30 seconds in advance because the US doesn't think long term anymore because all we have is a 30-second time span, which is why I love Substack and things like this because we get to have longer discussions where people in the chat get to talk to us and you don't feel like you're alone and you get a community again. And that's what we need because these assholes are trying to break it apart. And it's about solidarity. Like, we have to come together because it's not us versus them, as in me versus my neighbor. It is us versus them, as in everyone versus the
Yeah.
robber barons who are literally robbing us blind of our wealth and our ability to have a future. Like, most people don't plan 5 years in advance anymore. Most
Yeah.
businesses, when you interview, you can ask them what their 1 year plan looks like, but probably not their 5 year plan anymore because
Yeah.
half of them don't have a 5 year plan because nobody sees what the future is going to look like in 5 years. And so we have to talk about it openly.
Yep. And part of that is by design because they got us up against the wall where we're just living paycheck to paycheck. We're struggling so much just to get by. We can't even think about a better life. And the other
Yeah.
day, I mean, just they're so good. I mean, everybody give yourself some grace because this whole system is set up to make us like this, to make us passive and unable to resist. The other day when, the two politicians were at the Capitol and they were talking about opening up the government and then Mike Johnson came walking in, and there was just so much in his demeanor that said so much. Because the first thing he did, he's like, "Hello, gentlemen, hello," and it was just like presenting himself as this irresistible authority. And then he's like, "Well, we've got," and he reached. This is a tell. He reached up and he grabbed his eyes. He's like, "Well, we've got this situation in place. We've got a program in place." For opening the government again. And he tries to present himself as reasonable, even though
Hmm.
he's the guy who's stripping your children of healthcare right now. He has the power. He refuses. He's like, "Well, we'll handle that once the government is opened back up and then we'll negotiate." It's like, that's what you said the last time, you asshole. You think we're all
Yeah.
stupid? But just like
Yeah.
but just like this mansplaining, which is the entire authoritarian thing, where it's like it's like all you have to do is comply right now, and then you'll get what you want later down the road. And you need to start yelling, and you need to
Hmm.
put in your head, what would you do if you saw a person raping a child right now? you would act. And that's how we have to start thinking. It's like, because that's what is happening. We have to
Yeah.
start acting and we can't let them passively kick things down the road all the time.
Yeah. And that kind of leads perfectly into my note
Perfect.
for today, which is let me copy the link and get it into the chat. I know not everyone can copy this. Substack chat links are, kind of a pain in the butt. Um, but
I
this is
get
my note from today or from yesterday, I wrote, and it fits right in with what you were talking about, Walter, which is Republicans are purposely hurting all Americans to purge U.S. civil institutions. Republicans have no real intentions of or reason for reopening the U.S. government anytime soon. Mass firings of anyone not loyal to the regime is the point of the shutdown. It's a key part of Project 2025. We talk about military loyalty tests and purges. This is the conclusion of the civil loyalty test and purge, not the beginning. This is the conclusion of the civil loyalty test and purge. They are using the shutdown to purge anyone who they think could work against them in any way, shape, or form. If you are not loyal, you're losing your job during this shutdown. And I'm tired of calling them Reichstag fires and shit like that. It doesn't have any meaning. Like, nobody really cares that it's a Reichstag fire or that even we're doing the exact same playbook as leading up to Nazi Germany. Like, it's not a Reichstag fire. It's Project 2025. Let's call it what it is. Let's use the words that it is Project 2025 coming to life. I would rather use it's the Handmaid's Tale. It is Gilead. Like people that are in our zeitgeist and things that people understand in our world, we need to stop talking about Nazi Germany at this point. Like, yes, they're Nazis. Let's keep using the right words about them. But we need to stop always using the historical reference and start using our cultural references. Like there is a cultural reference that we could use to talk about purging civil institutions, which is Gilead, which is the what is the one with the Mockingjay?
Hunger Games.
Uh, Hunger Games.
Hung-
It is those. It is Gilead in the Hunger Games. That's what it is. It's not Nazi Germany because nobody really thinks about that anymore because most of the people who were at or lived through World War II are dead or dying in a lot of
that's
ways.
an interesting point. I
So
haven't
it's
thought
too
about
far
that before.
removed from our zeitgeist, and we always talk about politics is downstream from culture. Okay, well, then let's use our cultural references and actually get people engaged in things they understand and know. Um,
You know what, though? It might be a useful thing to just explain what the Reichstag fire was. I've done that before, like articles about this is the Nuremberg defense. This is why you need to know about the Nuremberg defense. And I saw a really, really good note the other day where somebody's like, he obscured his face and he changed his voice and he's like, you guys, they're coming after you. All you ICE guys who are violating people's civil rights, they're gonna come after you. You're going to be liable because you're not going to get the protections you think you are. Let me say one more thing though. I'm going to repost your note there, and it would be nice if all the people here who are watching this, if you would restack that note, just hit the restack button on that note. Let's get it like another 130 restacks so more people see it. I'll repost mine too, but
yeah,
that'd be a super huge help.
yeah, and like I'm going to put out a note
There's mine.
probably again too it probably talking about what I just said is that like but I do agree we need the terminology from history, we need the examples from history because I'm
Yeah.
a fan of history. Like my father was a historian or studied history in college and actively studied history throughout his entire adult life. And I learned from him through it about the books he read, the things he talked about. And so I know the history and I know the importance of the historical context, but it's not culturally relevant anymore in a lot of ways. Like it's just cultural, like
This is a
it's
good thought
just
though.
learning history nowadays instead of learning family knowledge, like actually sharing down, like the generational trauma that was passed down is set in stone. Like that is already set. And we're one generation removed too far
Yeah.
from World War II that people are like, oh, a new Reichstag fire or a Reichstag fire. Well, yes, but it's not. It's still it's the same, but it's our example is it is the prelude to Gilead. It is what happened in Hunger Games that led to the fall of the United States and it turning into districts. Like the book, the Hunger Games series is about the United States. It is a post-American dystopian wasteland that is ruled by a central capital of ridiculous oligarchs who have no rules, do whatever the fuck they want, rape people, kill people, have people in torture games for fun, put them in camps, isolate them, and decimate them and destroy them. It is a better example for people to understand, I think, because
Yeah.
so many of us have read or watched the movies. Whereas, again, history doesn't have the same emotional impact
Yeah.
unless you
Well,
watch like Band of Brothers. Like if you're
yeah.
watching movies like Band of Brothers and things like that, maybe. But I think we're too far
No, I think this
removed.
I think this is a really interesting this is an interesting thought. What we're really talking about here is messaging. And
Yeah.
so on the one hand, I'm like, yeah, I actually really like it when people say Reichstag fire, but it's not enough. I think you have to then write like a whole article. I did one, I can't remember if it was the October criminals or the November criminals, but Hitler did this purge where
Hmm.
like all the people that didn't support him in his own party, he purged. So I wrote this before. Like, is this what's going to happen now? It's like you Republic. I was trying to send a message to the Republicans saying, if we look at history,
Hmm.
the first people that fell under the axe, that's like all you guys out there cheering now, were the ones within the party that weren't loyal enough. So there is no saving yourself here by affiliating with this regime. So that was the point of that messaging in that time. I think
Yeah.
what you're saying is great though too, Nick. I think yeah, whatever we can do, whatever we can leverage, whatever
Yeah.
it's whether it's history, whether it's modern cultural things, all these
Because I
things, we
mean,
just have to convey the message. I do it. I experiment with that every day. I never know what's going to work.
yeah.
It's like throwing spaghetti at the fridge. But yeah,
Yeah.
keep doing what you're doing. But I do
And the
like the idea of
idea,
elaborating more what these historical references are.
yeah, and doing it on a, like people are saying, doing it on their level. It's not, you're not pandering when you do it on somebody else's level. When you talk to somebody at their level, you're if you're not doing it to be mean and rude and you're actually discussing and talking about it on their level, like I can say really, really strong opinions on somebody's level if it's simple.
Yeah.
At times, like the right, it's okay to learn from really bad people because they do some things really, really well. Like MAGA and the MAGA machine is really good at or they are really proficient at messaging and making clear slogans and
Yeah.
getting on the same level as people and communicating to them in a way that they understand and doesn't sound as patronizing to them. But
Yes.
it is patronizing and they lie really well. We need to tell the truth really
Hey,
eloquently and shamelessly. Like it's it and say it on their level. Yes. Is like the whole idea about Republicans shutting down the government to hurt Americans. They are doing it by threatening your job. If you work in the government, your job is under threat if you are not loyal enough. This was what happened in the beginning of Gilead. This is what happened when they purged the institutions or women lost their rights to use credit cards or movement or buy things or hold jobs. Those are the steps. Or The Purge. Like nobody ever talks about movies like The Purge or things like that.
yeah.
That's what they want. Like The
Yeah.
Purge is a great example of dictatorship and how you rule by fear through street gangs and thugs. And you
Yeah.
have thought police, which is you get to go murder whoever you want. And if you're not wealthy enough to have a good security system, you're probably going to either be murdered or go out and murder people. Um, and
I
that's what
want
they
to
want.
add
They want lawless society like that.
Yep. And I want to add too, it's like I grew up in a conservative area, and I know how they think. And a lot of times, I run into these because we get so many liberals who live in blue communities and they've gone to blue schools, and it's like, and then that's how you get the Schumer types who are like, I'll just send them a worded letter, and it's just like,
Hmm.
you do not know what you can get through these, and I get a lot of criticisms from that type of people. They're like, Walter, it's like they're never going to come to your side. It's like they're never going to come to your side if you're being a little bitch, if you're just
Yeah.
like sitting there. It's like that's not how they think. And I know because I had to endure bullies and I had to defend other kids
Hmm.
from bullies. You don't just sit there, please stop bullying that other kid. Please stop doing that. You got to get in their face. You got to make the bullying stop. And it's like you're being really selfish. And these ones that come after me and say that my tactics are wrong when they have no idea about my experience, they need to listen to me. And this is why I like these primary challengers. I've been interviewing a
Hmm.
lot of these primary challengers, and we need that. And a lot of these
Yes.
establishment Democrats, they get all pissed. They're like, "Well, I've got a safe seat, and you're part of the problem if you're challenging my seat." It's like, no, this is an opportunity for us to have discussions, and both those candidates can reach out to the population. Then they can hear ideas that way. You got twice as many people going across the country talking to all the other people in rural counties. That helps us. And then those two candidates come together and debate, and they share the ideas that they've picked up. That helps us. And then when the voters eventually decide, we have to support the candidate that wins. We can't have this Democratic opposing Mamdani bullshit because that's what the people said they wanted. And the party has to respect these elections. And when one candidate wins, they shake the hand of the other one. They say, good work, because it's not about you and it's not about me. It's about the American people. And that's what we have to change in our society. We have to change all these narratives where people start pressuring people not to challenge sitting seats because we need those conversations and they've cut us off. The establishment has done this. And so, yeah,
And
go out and interview your primary candidates, talk to them. That's input. Have it come up in the debate. It'll show up in the government eventually. That's how we change our government.
yeah, and I know there was a comment that came out was when you push back on the term of little bitch, which is a shitty term, um, which is fine.
Yeah, that's it.
It's a shitty term. It's demeaning towards women, and I've found that it's more helpful to call them little penises, little testicles, little
Oh, that's a
kinks.
good. That's good.
Is use
I
male
appreciate. I
anatomy
appreciate that.
when you're making fun of men because it's you're I don't like putting down women when because
Well,
women are stronger than men. We like Morgan, thank you for calling that out. I appreciate you
well,
saying that because we learn
yes.
as we go.
Well, I will say back though, that is a term my wife has endorsed, and I listen to my wife on that too because it's just the name of and while we're a dog family anyway, that's just the name of a mother dog. So it does entail a certain amount of power. You're right though. I think I will deep six that term. I think that's better. But I didn't mean it with any respect. But I do appreciate the correction.
Yeah, and I wanna make sure too is we're passionate about this. And the good thing is you
Hmm.
guys are willing to let us make mistakes and correct ourselves because you know we're here to to actually learn and grow. And so
Yeah.
we all have our opinions and we have to be willing to accept that it language is hard and that language is built into us and it takes time to correct the the use of the words. Hold on. How about the C word? I've been called the C
No,
word
not
more
that.
times.
That I don't like.
Oh,
No,
you
that
mean
one.
like
Yeah.
the CUNT, like the
Yeah.
one
No.
that
No.
they
No.
see you next Tuesday, the one they use in
Yeah.
Australia to
No.
talk about people all the time and they don't use it in the same context we do? Absolutely. I don't call people that if I'm going to call somebody that or something similar to that. I
Yeah.
use the word like testicle or you're a cuck or but even cuck is like cuck is a
Yeah.
good one
Well,
because that means you're a subservient man and you're a little baby, you're a little baby testicle who just need that gets squeezed all the time and you just have to do what is told to you and you're just
you
this
know what?
little baby
Yeah.
testicle and you're just getting squeezed and every time you do something out of line they squeeze a little bit harder and you do what you're told all the fucking time because you're a little baby cuck. Dickhead.
But it is true though too.
Um
Like depending, because I wouldn't use that. I would never call a woman that. But it's like
no,
if you're
no.
calling conservative men, either of those words that we've mentioned, it does get through to a lot of their BS. And so, but you're right. It's like I'm going to think about this more. I think it is one that I don't feel comfortable using in the future. I think I will not use that anymore. But it is, there are places where you can end up.
Yeah.
And there's, where it's not like just uniform. The context does matter. Yeah, no, these are good thoughts. These are good things to be talking about.
Yeah, and I think it's the thing is like it's okay for women to use female gendered words and things like that in their speak, even if they're talking about men, because that's your terminology too. Like it's your words. If I want to call a woman who's super weak too, maybe I'm just gonna call her a testicle. That's probably pretty offensive to a woman, is call a woman just a weak testicle who gets fucking stepped on all the time and smashed and can't handle anything. And if you flick it wrong, you go crying. Like, I'm pretty sure a woman would be offended if I called her a testicle. So it's okay. Um, but also like it's not just about the words, it's about the meaning behind when you
Yes.
say it and how you talk about them and how you bully the bully by bullying
That's,
their ideas and
yeah.
bullying their values that are wrong and bad without bullying the person themselves. Like, I don't ever talk about people's sexualities or personhood traits, or even
Yeah.
I don't even really make fun of Stephen Miller for being kind of short, because he's not. He's really not that short. He's actually, I think, roughly the same height I am. And even if he is a little shorter or taller, it doesn't matter because he looks short and he feels short and he talks short because his ideas suck and they're short sighted and they're backwards and they're regressive. And he's just a piece of shit little dickhead who needs to be shoved back into the brain of RFK because he looks like a fucking brainworm that crawled out and he's a giant penis. Like his head looks like an uncircumcised penis. Like that is Stephen Miller. He's like pulling the suit down and popping himself out. I do that a lot because I think he's a disgusting human being and he should be spoken about like that.
Yeah. And a lot of it is too this mirror thing. When you're mirroring repugnant behavior, you do then kind of, you're using it, but you have to also expose it. So we have to talk about it in some sort of an academic sense. So we can't
Hmm.
just like not use the word at all. We have to reference it one way or another. I did see this wonderful, there was this video that was going around. It was these four black women, and they were giving this speech. And they were using the B word, I'll just say that, over and over again, but it was empowerment. It was taking that word back. It was throwing it back at men. And so I thought I'm gonna have to talk to Allison Atchison about this, or Allison Wilkes is the one I meant to say, the other Allison, and Zuri Stevens. I want to ask what their perspective is. Different communities have different
Yeah.
thoughts on this, and I want to know. But it is good. It is, and I'm grateful to people for bringing up, because it is something. A little alarm did go off when I said that. But like I said, my wife has used it often. She's like, this is a word to throw back into the face of, you know, these authoritarian men who are trying to seize power by holding everybody else down and like mocking them. Like, and it kind of fits into like the AOC thing where she was mocking Stephen Miller for his height.
Hmm.
And we shouldn't really mock people for their height. But in the sense of, you know, cutting down a fascist to size, is it then acceptable? It is kind of a borderline area, but we got to keep our eye on the bigger perspective here, and that's that these people are raping kids. So we have to
Yeah,
stop
like
them from raping kids.
I don't care about their feelings anymore. Like they've been telling us for the last 10 years to fuck our feelings. Fuck your feelings. Facts don't matter.
Mhm.
Facts don't care about your feelings. Well, fuck your feelings. Facts don't care about your feelings either. And your feeling and your facts are wrong. And we're gonna call them out. But I think it is okay to take a step back and remember that the only way to stop a bully is to give them the thing that they don't have, which is somebody standing over them with a who can say no and stay there and just keep saying no until they stop. They need an authority figure because nobody in their life has been that person. I literally have seen this in action. And I won't talk about the person themselves or their relationship to me, but my wife and I told someone that we are close with that they they overstepped a bound and did something that was very bullyish, that was very wrong, and that we would not stand for. And we left their house and we did not speak to them until they came and apologized to us. And you know what? They did. That
Yeah.
person did and came back and even thanked us because we did the thing that nobody ever does is
Yeah.
um is we said no and we stuck to it. It's also like the tiny penis thing. Like, yes, having a micro penis is a real thing. Having like a
Mhm.
tiny penis is a real thing, and it's not something to joke about on a normal human being.
Yeah.
For a normal adult, if you have a micro penis, I'm not talking about you. Just like I know when women say all men are bad, they're not talking about me. They're not because I show myself. I actively go out and show that I am not the person to be afraid of, but I also do not get insulted when a woman crosses the street who doesn't know me and just goes, "Yep, this person looks unsafe." And I go, "Okay, yeah, I probably do because I'm a male and I'm white and I have a beard. Like I look
Yeah.
unsafe just by default, unless I'm with my family and kids, and then still I'm white, I'm male, I have a beard." And I live in a red state where it's by default assumption that you may or may not be a Republican. Um,
Yeah.
but like going back to the terms, like I want to touch on like how we switch gendered terms real quick again. We're close to the top of the hour, but I there's a new picture coming out on the regular at this point, and it is of Donald Trump, and it's the Time magazine photo where his
Ah,
chin folds look suspiciously like some things, and people are referring to it as his vagina. And my response to that is I wrote, and I'll put up another note just because I liked where I went with, only because I can. Um, is I talked about the fact that it's not a vagina. It actually looks like he tucked in two testicles, and it's the taint leading up to the big orange asshole that he considers his mouth. Um, and it's just that subtle thing of like, I'm not going to demean women who
yeah.
have no say in this, who are being demeaned by everybody else all the time.
That's
But
it. Yep.
we have
Yep.
the weakest body parts available that we could easily talk about. And it just looks like Donald Trump tucked in a set of testicles into his necktie, folded them up, and there's just this dirty ass streak leading up to an orange asshole of a mouth that just bloviates and blows shit out all the time. Like, why are people afraid to say things like that?
I was just gonna say, I think all these words that are demeaning words, they're only demeaning because the right wing authoritarian fascist assholes have always used them to attack women. And it's because exactly what you're saying, Nick. Men are so fragile. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's like, okay, but like they've built up masculinity to this absurd thing, but they're so also so vulnerable. And so the only reason we even have these charged words are because of these asshole authoritarian men. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm kind of inclined to turn them back against asshole authoritarian men because they're the ones that put all the negative charge on those words. Let them see how it feels like. And men
Yeah.
should recognize this because we are vulnerable. We are vulnerable creatures, and we have to cut people back down to size and not participate in this illusion of authoritarian, unquestionable power.
Yeah. And it's okay to hurt their feelings. Like we're s- it's the paradox of tolerance that we are breaking down. Like I've talked about the paradox of tolerance before, is it is not intolerant to not tolerate socially unacceptable ideas because tolerance is a social construct, and we have created the idea of tolerance through moral and ethical footings. We don't have to tolerate Nazi ideas because they are unethical and immoral. We don't have to tolerate putting women down and treating them as less than people. We don't have to tolerate treating trans people as less than people. We do tolerate people being treated as people, because that's it. Like that's the thing. And it's you can't tolerate that fact, then you are immoral and unethical and don't deserve to be a part of society because you've broken the social contract. That's all tolerance is. It's a social contract and you're breaking it.
Yeah. I just
Not
do
you
want to say real
specifically,
quick.
Walter, but the fuckheads in charge. Walter is
Yeah.
not breaking the social contract for anyone who wants to know. He is valuing the social contract and he is building on it. Like this
Yeah.
is what it means to progress a nation and to make a more perfect union is to build on the social contract that we all deserve freedom, liberty, and rights and elect women.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's a good.
Yep.
I got, but I want to say too, I do want to apologize. I didn't mean to offend people with the use of that term. Trying to, and it's you know what? It's too good of a term for these guys. Maybe I'll just call them beta males from now on. Maybe,
Yeah, I
although,
do
no,
that
although
too.
it's too late for me to say. No, that maybe that's just as bad.
I do that too, but I also the one beta male comment that I like the most, and I get the most fun out of is talking about Adam from Adam and Eve from Genesis, because he's the most beta male out there. Like the dude let a snake steal the only his wife. Literally, the only other person out there was him and his wife and a snake. And a snake stole his wife because he was too weak of a man to protect his wife. What I think the snake really represents is a dildo or some sort of self-pleasuring device. And Sneck went in and Sneck slithered out. And
Oh boy.
man and Adam couldn't live up to Sneck. So Adam was tread on by the first Sneck. He got tread on. The don't tread on
Oh
me
boy.
flag doesn't apply to them because they let a Sneck tread on them from the very
Oh man.
beginning. And you know what? I think it's just a metaphor for that a woman had an orgasm for the first time and she found out she didn't
Maybe
need that dumbass because she could use Sneck on her own.
preach. You need to open
So
up a church somewhere.
oh, we actually talked about this. Okay, funny idea is we need to open up the church or found the religion of the Constitution or of the founding documents and just call it like the
Oh.
Church of the Founding Fathers or the Church of the Founding doc of the Constitution, because then when they try and destroy the Constitution, they're attacking our religious documents, and
Ah.
you can't attack my
Okay.
religion because that's freedom of religion and persecution of my faith. And my faith demands liberty, justice, freedom, liberty, and justice for all. And it demands First Amendment protections. And it demands that we have the right to not have unlawful search and seizures, and that you can't just be picked up off the streets because we have a Bill of Rights, 10 amendments to the Constitution. So I think we're going to start a church of the
Good.
Constitution.
Church of
Um,
Reason. Yeah.
the Church of no, but then they'd be mad because then they would think that we're making fun of
They're
them.
always going to be
Uh,
mad. Fuck them.
Fuck them.
They're going to be mad
They're
no
mad
matter
about
what we do.
something. They're
Yeah,
mad
fuck 'em.
about
They're mad
something.
about
We'll
themselves. They're self-loathing. That's what they live by.
we'll workshop the name. How about that? All right. All right, everyone. Um it has been a fantastic actually most of the preachers and most of the folks who will lead congregations of the Church of the Constitution will be women
They
or
have to be.
people who value and see women as people. And
Yep.
anyone
Well, you
as
can't trust
anyone
men with
else or
power.
people. Yeah, you can't really trust a lot of men with power. We tend to get drunk on it and do stupid shit. Um,
Say the wrong word.
yeah, we have mantrums all the time, and our I think they miss misdiagnosed the menstrual cycle, and it should have been the menstrual cycle because men don't know how to control their feelings when we're on um our hormone changes, and we don't ever talk about the
Oh,
fact that men have hormone cycles too, and that we need to be more into seeing what those hormone cycles are about, and the mantrums are getting out of hand. They've started too many wars, too many mantrums, and just a bunch of babies. Um, so, Walter, before I let you go, I know I've held you a couple minutes late. Where can people find you? How can they support your work?
oh yeah. It'd be wonderful to stop by. I'd rather be writing. I've got a bunch of subscription tiers, but don't take food off your table. And boy, let's not use the word babies in a derogatory way. Babies never hurt anybody. No, I'm being petulant now.
Babies
And
didn't do
thanks so
anything
much,
wrong.
everybody. It's been wonderful to have you.
Thank you, Walter. It's been amazing to have you again. As always, I'm Nick Paro. This is the Sick of This Show. We are doing Notes of the Week with Nick Paro and Walter Rhein. We will be back. Actually, Walter will not be with us next week for our Notes of the Week, which is okay.
Oh yeah, I have something to do.
I'm going to invite a guest on, so we'll have at least one guest for next week's Notes of the Week. So we'll see y'all again at 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday. Thank you, everyone. And as always, let's stop being sick of this shit and let's start doing this shit. Thanks, everyone. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day. Thanks, Walter.